In the hip hinge videos, you'll notice that I have the bar elevated from the floor onto some sort of block or plate, basically anything that takes it off the ground. The reason for this is that when we're setting up in our hip hinge positions, if you come around to the side here, is that when we're in the bottom position, we want to be able to make sure of primarily two things. Number one is that we're able to keep our lower back in a relatively flat or neutral position, as opposed to rounded or flexed. And then the other thing is that we want to be able to keep our shin relatively vertical. By that, I mean we want to be able to keep our knee pretty much over our ankle. If the bar is set too low to the ground, what tends to happen is that people get to a certain position, they run out of mobility, and they begin to round over at their backs, which we don't want at the bottom of the deadlift or the hip hinge. Or the other thing is they get into too much of a squat position when their knees go too far forward. I'm going to demonstrate a couple of reps from each elevation. Hopefully you'll be able to figure out which one you need or get it set up in your gym or in your home and play around with it and find what's best for you. So if I start on the high box here, this would be a pretty easy height for most people to get into a solid setup position. Obviously it will depend on your height and mobility, but really simple. I just walk into the bar so that my shins are about an inch from it. And for me, this is just below my kneecap. So if I just have a slight flex of my knees, hinge over and grip the bar, for me this is really easy to keep my shins vertical and my low back in neutral. If I bring the bar to the next height, which is just a couple of 45-pound plates, and I get set up for the same thing, this makes it a little bit more challenging in that the bar is closer to the ground and will demand greater mobility from me. So again, just step into the bar, slight flex in your knees, push your butt back and hinge over, and I can immediately notice that it's much more difficult for me to get down to this bar while keeping my shins vertical and the low back flat. So if I go from the top, slight flex in knees, butt back and hinge over, grip the bar, and then lift from here. So that variation was definitely more difficult for me to keep the neutral setup position we're looking for. And then if I show you the last one, which I never generally get people to do because it tends to destroy their technique, would be from the floor. So again, we're just graduating from the 3 different box heights to try and find the right one for you. So this is about 7 to 8 inches lower than what we had primarily. Slight flex in knees, butt back and hinge over, and again this is much more difficult again to keep the shin vertical and the low back in neutral. And you'll also notice it's much more difficult to get the bar off the ground. So there's 3 different heights that you can play around with. I'm not worried which height you choose, we're just mainly concerned with that you get your shin vertical and your low back in neutral. Play around with that and find out which is the best one for you.